Batman the Animated Series is the best superhero show of all time. Now, I know what you are thinking. That's a lie. Invincible, The Boys, and Daredevil, and maybe even a few of you who are brave souls think that Moon Knight is a great show. It's not, but back to the video. Invincible, The Boys, and Daredevil are great shows that most people can agree are fantastic, and they are what a lot of people call the best superhero show ever. Now, while those shows are amazing, I think there's a show that is much better than those shows called Batman the Animated Series. Now, before I explain why I think Batman the Animated Series is the best comic book show ever, I'm going to give a little bit of backstory on the show itself. Now, Batman the Animated Series came out in 1992 and ran through till 1995. This is also the Batman that you see in the Justice League animated shows from back in the day and the Batman Beyond show. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about Batman the Animated Series. Batman the Animated Series is the best Batman adaptation we have ever gotten outside of the comics, and it washes every single adaptation of that character. It's better than Christian Bale's Batman with that terrible and goofy voice, better than Ben Affleck's Batman, which isn't really Batman, just a dude that kills hella people, and then we have the new Batman, Robert Pattinson, which in my opinion has the most potential out of all of them. Now, in Batman the Animated Series, we dive deep into the mind of not only Batman, but his allies like Alfred, Bruce's father figure, his partner in crime, and basically his son, Robin. We also see appearances from Jim Gordon and his daughter Barbara, who, she becomes Batgirl. We also get great voice acting from the characters, especially Batman and Joker. Like, just take a listen to this.
My father, I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman!
Now, in one of arguably the best episodes in the whole entire show is episode 26, titled Parents to Dream. In this episode, Bruce Wayne wakes up to find out that his parents never died, and someone other than himself is the Caped Crusader Batman. We also find out that in this alternate reality, Bruce is dating Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman. Now, this alternate reality is exactly Bruce's dream and what he wants more than anything in his life. Yet he feels guilty, like something is wrong, and this just can't be his life. In the episode, we see Bruce trying to figure out what's wrong with this reality, and it just shows how devoted Batman is to the mission. You see that no matter what Bruce has to do, he has to complete the mission, no matter what. Batman is a character that has been around for a really long time, decades. But even though he has been around for a really long time, I would argue he has been misunderstood for a really long time as well. People have this misconception that Batman is an anti-hero and he should kill. And to me, that is fucking hilarious when you know the definition of an anti-hero. Now, according to the Oxford Dictionary, an anti-hero is, and I quote, a central character in a narrative or drama who lacks the admirable qualities of fortitude, courage, honesty, and decency that are usually possessed by the traditional heroes. How on earth does that sound like Batman? Batman is a symbol of hope for the people of Gotham. He tries his best to help the city and protect people. Batman understands how precious life is because of his parents' death. Now, he doesn't want anyone to suffer the way he has from that. But in the same way, he also terrifies the criminals of Gotham who want to hurt people. Like, look at the opening for the Batman.
It's a warning to them. Fear.
We get to focus on Batman as a character like never before since we spend more time with Bruce. For example, do you ever wonder why Batman doesn't kill criminals? The animated series answers that question in an episode titled The Judge. Without spoiling the episode, there's a vigilante going around and killing the criminals, and we see why that's bad and why Batman doesn't take it upon himself to become the judge, jury, and executioner. In another episode titled I Am the Knight, Jim Gordon gets injured and Bruce takes it personally like it was his fault, but it wasn't. We see that he takes it so personally because of what happened to his parents, and he doesn't want to go through that again with someone he loves and cares about. But we also see Batman's faults as well, showing he's not perfect. In the episode titled Old Wounds, we see how Dick Grayson, the original Robin, and Bruce stop becoming partners. It's one of the more emotional episodes the series has to offer, and it makes Batman the biggest douchebag ever, and I was shocked when I first watched the episode. Like, this episode made Batman seem like a dick. Now, everyone loves Batman, but people for some reason don't like Robin, aka Dick Grayson. People seem to have this misconception about Robin and say he ruins the character of Batman. Now, saying this shows how little you know about Batman. Robin is a great character with a ton of depth, and the animated series explains that. One of the more interesting things about Robin is how similar his and Bruce's backstory is, yet they both handle the situation completely different. Robin's parents were murdered just like Batman's parents were. Now, Robin eventually does get over his parents' death and moves on, unlike Bruce, who has to accomplish his mission of saving people. Even Batman stated that Dick Grayson saved him and made him a better person. The only thing I would change about Robin is his real name. I mean, his first name being Dick will never not be funny, but you know, Robin is a lot deeper than I can explain in words. Robin elevates Batman in so many ways, and honestly, I'm probably one of the very few people who prefer when Batman has a Robin. It's just such an interesting dynamic. Now take a listen to what Bruce says to Dick after he lost his parents.
I know it must be very difficult.
If only I could have stopped him. I saw him coming out of the tent. I knew he didn't belong there.
I know. You keep thinking, if only I'd done something differently. If only I could have warned them. But there isn't anything you could have done. There isn't anything either of us could have done.
Your mom and dad? Does the hurt ever go away?
I wish I could say yes. But it will get better in time. For you. That I promise.
Batman's Rogues Gallery is at its peak in this series as well. Everyone loves the Joker, and the Joker gets the spotlight in this series, with the legendary Mark Hamill voicing the Joker. But everyone loves the Joker, so let's talk about the other rogues as well. Two-Face is at its peak in this series since we grow to love the character of Harvey Dent. So once we see his fall and he becomes Two-Face, it hurts way more. And we also see appearances from the best villain ever, the Condiment King. You know, it's basically like if Two-Face's fall was like Anakin's fall to the dark side, but this time the animated series does it good and not stupid like the prequels did. Every villain from Batman's Rogues Gallery has an appearance in this show. You know, from Ra's al Ghul to Ra's al Ghul, however you guys want to pronounce it, he's in this show as the leader of the League of Assassins. And we also see him messing with Bruce and really putting him through the ringer because he is in control of a criminal organization. And we also get to see Mr. Freeze's backstory and how he lost his wife. It's a really touching backstory, and it just makes the Mr. Freeze we got in Batman and Robin seem really dumb.
Killed the dinosaurs! The Ice Age!
It's a really touching backstory, and it just makes the Mr. Freeze we got in Batman and Robin seem really dumb. This is one of, if not the best episode in the whole series, and I really hope we get to see that backstory adapted on the big screen, because in my opinion, Mr. Freeze is one of Batman's best villains. But seriously, every villain you can think of in this show is great. This show also does a great job of fleshing out Gotham and the people that live in it as well. In some episodes, Batman isn't even the main character. That's how deep this show is. Want to see Batman's Rogues Gallery hanging out and talking about how they've experienced Batman? Well, guess what? It's in this show. Ever wonder what the kids that live in Gotham think about the Dark Knight? Yeah, you probably have never thought about it, but guess what? It's in this show. We also see what the GCPD thinks about Batman, where we get episodes where Detective Bullock is the main character. A character that hates Batman gets an episode to himself, and it's fire. Now, one important thing to mention is the filler. Batman the Animated Series is a ton of filler, and you don't have to watch everything because, to be honest, not every episode is a hit. There are some pretty bad episodes in the show, but it's expected from a cartoon that came out weekly and came out in the 90s. You can just pick and choose whatever, and you know which episodes sound cool, or you can just look at IMDb and see what episodes sound cool and interesting. There's not really a particular order for these episodes, which brings a ton of freedom to the show. You can just watch it whenever you want. I hope I've convinced you guys to watch Batman the Animated Series. Like, this show is just so good, and it's the best representation of Batman you can get. I haven't seen much Batman stuff that is as good as this, in my opinion. The entire show's on HBO Max, and you gotta add it to your watch list. You will not regret it, I promise you.